FM too.
Hello. This video is all about you and your view of the world. So I guess the big question I'm trying to answer in this video is, what is your view of the world and how do you create this view of your world? So for a lot of us, our view of the world comes through a window. It depends which window you're looking through. So quite often, especially lately, we have been spending a lot of our time using the computer as a window to see the world. But what I'm aiming to do in this video is to encourage you just to go outside and to actually have a look at the world outside your window. So your first step to do this is to go to your window and then take a look out of it and just have a little moment just to actually look outside your window. Now, what you find is when you start to consider your perception of places, your perception quite often is in your own mind, and we store a lot of our own views of the world with our preconceived ideas. So what we need to do, first thing to do, is to take a look outside your window. It's probably very familiar, but actually to spend a minute just looking out of your window to see what features are there, what things are there that are familiar, and what things are there that might be slightly different. So that's the first step. The second step is to actually take yourself outside and to have a look at what is out and about. So here we go, we're outside, and I guess ultimately geography is a subject all about the study of the world, and so it's good to get out into the world to actually study it and have a look at it. Now, a lot of your own geography is, as I said, is in your own mind, and we carry these mental images in our heads about what we perceive a place to be like, and it might be that that's sometimes different to actually what you can see. So in this, what I want you to do is go out and explore your local area. So this word local has been used quite a lot lately, and you have to identify what we mean by local. So the size of your local area will vary quite a lot for a few of you. So your local area may be, you may perceive your local area just to be your bedroom or your room where you're in, or you might think of your local area as just your house and your garden, or you might see your local area as your street, or you might even go larger and think of your local area as your town or your region. In terms of the definition, local is an area where you spend most of your time. So when you're thinking about your space in your local area, I want you to think about where are the places that you spend a lot of your time. Obviously this changes over time as well, so it might be that you have been to clubs, it might be that you have different places where you visit, you have friends' houses and places that you go for walks, and all of these spaces make up your local area. My other aim of this video is to go through some geography fieldwork techniques, just to give you an idea about a sense of place. And I've got 6 different techniques that I'm going to show you, and there are worksheets available for these. I just want you to go outside and have a go at some of these different techniques. So my first technique is something called an urban soundscape, and it looks a bit like this. And the idea of this is just to spend a bit of time listening. And what you need to do first of all is identify a place that represents the sounds of your particular area. You put yourself in your place, and that is you. This is going to be you in the middle of your area. And then what you're going to do is you're going to just spend 5 minutes listening to all the sounds in that particular area. And what you need to do with those sounds is identify whether they're near sounds or far sounds, which are your 2 categories we've got here. And then you've got to try and draw a picture to represent them, to show what they are. So for example, behind me I can hear some birds singing, and they sound quite close. So I'm just going to draw a picture of a bird nearby. And then the other thing you do is you give the sound a score as to whether you think it enhances the environment or makes it negative. Now if you hate birds, then you give it a negative score. I happen to quite like the sound of birds, so I'm going to give it a positive score. And the score goes from -5 to +5. Now in the distance I can hear some work going on. There's some workmen building a house. So again, you just need to draw a little picture to represent what that looks like. So I've just got a workman there. I think that's far away, and even though it shows progress and development, I don't really like that sound so much, so I'm going to give that a negative score. And so with soundscaping, it's just a way for you to spend a moment in an area and just use your ears as a way to interpret that space. next idea is drawing a field sketch. Now the idea of a field sketch is that you take a view of somewhere, and then what you do is you try and convert it into a sketch. Now when you do a sketch, I've done like a view of what I can see. It's not so important your drawing technique, it's all about the annotations or the labels that you add on. It's important to do a field sketch actually out in the field where you are, because there's things that you might see that you wouldn't remember if you just did it from a photo. And what I've done here is I've just labelled some of the things that are important in this particular view that I can see. So I've got my classroom, I've got the hills in the background, I'm near to the bike sheds, there's a space where I might go for a walk over the corner there. And these are the things that are important with my field sketch. And the idea of this is you've taken like an actual view and then you've converted it into a bit of a sketch. So there's my particular view. Now the alternative to doing a field sketch is to use your phone. Now our phone is a really useful geographical tool, and what you can do is you can just use your phone to take some pictures of your location. So you can snap away, take yourself some pictures, and what I'd like you guys to do is to have a go at taking 5 pictures that represent your area. So if you had to try and summarise what is important about your space, what images do you think would be important ones that would summarise it? Once you've got those images, then we can do something more than when you get back. The other alternative is to do some sort of video blog all about your area. So if you were introducing someone to your area, what are the important things for you in your local space? As you're going through all these things, what I'd like you to do is I'd like to go out and explore your local area, and just get out and about and just really start to look at what your local area is like. Is it the same as the image you've got in your mind, or is it different? And I guess one of the other features with this is that your perception of place does change over time. That might be within the day, so throughout the day my view of different places changes depending on whether I've eaten, whether it's morning, whether it's night, what other thoughts I'm having. It might vary throughout the week, it might vary throughout the month, and my perception of place has definitely changed over the last few years, especially with some of the changes that we've gone through over the last sort of year. So have a think about time and how your perception might have changed at different times. Right, once you've identified your local area, I'm going to get you to have a go at a task called place mapping. Now the idea of this is on the worksheet that you have. What you need to do is you're going to draw a bit of a sketch about what is your view of your local place. In order to do this, you need a rough sketch of what your place looks like, and then what you need to do is divide it into different areas. And then once you've divided it into areas, you then need to say what do those places mean to you, and they all mean different things. So it might be one bit might be where you live, one bit might be where your mate lives, one bit might be the way that you get to school, or it might be the way that you walk to a particular club. It might even be where your local park is, it might be where you play football, it might be where you go for a walk. So it might be that you have a set route that you go whenever you go out for a walk anywhere. It might even be something that happened to you in one particular place, or it could even be a story that someone told you. Did someone tell you about something that happened in one of those places? What you then do is you then add all those features onto your map, and you create your own personal place map of your local region. If you have a look at the example, I'll just pop an example up here. This is my example of what this local area looks like and means to me. Right, the next technique is it's all about opinions, and this is trying to get you to think as yourself, but then also to think how other people perceive a place. As I said earlier, we all perceive places in different ways. In order to do this, you've got this sheet which is all about what do you think about a place and what do other people think about a place. So you've got 3 tables. The first one is all about you. So in this one you're going to write down what your opinions are. So the first question is, what do you like about this place? So where I am at the moment, I'm loving the fact I can sit outside and I can hear the birds singing and I can see a football pitch. It's great to be outside. Next question is, what do you dislike about the place? So are there things you don't like about it? I don't like the fact that this gets really muddy and really busy at certain times. Next question is, what areas do you feel safest in around that area and why? And the next one is, which areas do you feel least safe in and why? So there might be certain places where you feel happier and not so happy. And then the last one is, how do you think this place could be improved? So if you were going to do something to that area, what do you think you do to improve it? And then once you've done that for yourself, I want you to try and see if you can come up with some ideas about how do other people perceive this place. So if you were really old, how would you see this place? Or if you were a young child, how would you see it? If you were a different gender or if you had different interests, how else would you perceive this place? And then have a go at filling in that table if you were a different person. Just to try and think about what would that different person's opinion be of that particular space. This is a really valid skill, a useful skill in geography, being able to look at different people's opinions and start to consider different points of view. Okay, so the last technique I'm going to get you to have a think about is something called biomapping. So we've considered like what a place looks like, we've considered the sounds. This one is all about how a place feels. So we started to talk about this a little bit on the last one with opinions. On this one, what you're going to have is you're going to need a map of a particular place and a couple of different colours. And what you're going to do is you're going to think about whether a place generates positive feelings or whether it generates negative feelings. So positive feelings might be things like excitement, happiness, joy, that sort of thing, safety. Whereas negative feelings might be things like fear or stress or worry. And what you need is you need two colours to represent these two areas. And then what you're going to do is, two colours here. What you're going to do is you're then, there they are. With those two colours, you need to map on and draw dots on your particular map that you have of your area to show which bits you feel are positive and which bits are negative. There's also a space on the sheet to write down the name of the location and give that a score, so you can give that a number. So rather than just saying it's positive or it's negative, you can add on like a score for how positive or how negative. And this is just to highlight the different mental states that people experience in their place or space. So there you have it. Hopefully you've managed to get outside. You've hopefully been outside and got some fresh air, both of which are valid things in their own right. And then also hopefully you've had a little look at some different techniques to start to look at your local area. And then with these techniques, I want you to now think about what have you found. So was your perception that you originally had of your local area, was it correct? Or was there things that you hadn't really realised? Sort of challenge yourself. Is your perception valid? Do you have the same view as everyone else has of this particular place? And what were your hopes for it in the future? How do you think it should change? What should be improved in that area? So I hope that's given you a little flavour of things in your local area and giving you a bit of an idea about some geographical techniques to understand the sense of the place. It's now back to you in the classroom, Mr. Pierce. My finger gone. Back to you in the classroom. Cheers, take care.